Pokemon Champions actually gave Mega Meganium a good new ability, folks. Can you believe it? After so many years of mediocrity, Meganium fans are having the last laugh. They have also chosen a perfect ability for Mega Froslass that I am very excited about. Let's discuss all the new abilities that have been confirmed for Pokemon Champions so far, as well as other mechanical changes they have made that might have a significant impact on the competitive meta. First, we have the one everyone's talking about, Mega Meganium's all-new ability. This is an ability we have never seen before. It's called Mega Soul, and this ability causes all moves used by the Pokemon to behave as if they were under the effects of harsh sunlight, which is very interesting. We have never seen a mechanic like this in Pokemon before. Meganium does not set sun on the field with an ability like Drought. No, its moves just behave as if sun was up at all times. This is kind of amazing. The first and most obvious reason that this is amazing is that Meganium has Solar Beam. So Mega Meganium can just shoot off Solar Beam without having to charge at any time. And Mega Meganium has a great special attack set of 143 base. So this thing's going to be kind of a threat. It has the best grass-type special attack in the game with no drawback. But there's more that Mega Meganium gets out of this ability. Synthesis is a healing move that heals based on the weather that is active. And it heals the most when sun is active. Synthesis will heal for 2/3 of your Pokemon's HP in the sun, which is far better than most healing moves. And since Mega Soul means that all of your moves pretend that sun is active at all times, Mega Meganium casually has the greatest healing move ever. And Synthesis is usually a bit awkward to use, because if sand or rain is up, it will be nerfed and you'll only heal for a quarter. This can make it punishable and inconsistent, but with Mega Soul, this synergy is unbelievable. Even if sand is active, Mega Soul will treat the move as if sun is active and bypass the sand. So you're just always healing for 2/3 of your HP. These two options make Mega Meganium sound incredibly promising as a bulky attacker. But there's more. Mega Meganium also achieves fire coverage from this ability, because Weather Ball also benefits from the effects of Mega Soul. Weather Ball is a special attack that doubles in power if a weather effect is active and changes type to match the weather. In Sun, Weather Ball becomes a fire type attack with 100 power, which is very good. And Mega Soul will always treat Weather Ball as if sun is active. So Mega Meganium now has an excellent 100 base power fire type special attack that is also boosted in power, because since sun boosts the power of fire moves, Weather Ball also receives that boost. I mean, folks, Meganium has been a neglected Pokemon for years, considered by many to be the worst starter Pokemon in the series, with absolutely nothing going for it. So if you're a Meganium fan, I don't think you could ask for much more than this. An exclusive new ability that perfectly enhances Meganium's toolkit, and will probably turn it into a respectable, bulky attacker. The fact that it's a grass type means it will also be immune to being redirected by Rage Powder. Grass typing is really nice in doubles formats for the utility of powder immunity, which comes up in many different ways. So Amoonguss won't be able to redirect the Solar Beam towards it. That's not going to be possible. And in fact, Amoonguss itself is going to be under fire from the sun-boosted Weather Ball that you cannot stop. Terrible news for Amoonguss. Grass Fairy also overall a better typing than Mono Grass, with the Dragon immunity and the Dark and Fighting resistance. Neutrality to Bug as well. Now Mega Meganium is going to be ×4 weak to Poison, but that's okay, I'm sure, with all of its other advantages that it's celebrating about. A mere Poison weakness will not keep Mega Meganium down too much. Interestingly, people are saying maybe Mega Meganium would be good on rain teams, which sounds strange to put a sun-focused Pokemon on a rain team, but remember, Mega Soul completely ignores all other weather and just treats your moves as if sun is up at all times. So even if you set rain yourself with a Pelipper, you can still Solar Beam yourself, and the rain will actually benefit you by nerfing the damage of fire-type attacks against you. So that's interesting. And I believe that also Weather Ball will not be nerfed by rain, because Mega Soul will pretend sun is active while the move is executing, so even if rain is active on the field, Mega Soul will bypass that. I suppose I'm not actually sure, we'd have to test that in game, but based on how Mega Soul is described, that seems to be the case, and I don't think you could have two weather effects active at the same time in Pokemon. I would think Mega Soul just overwrites that, so that's also incredible. That's also fantastic. Other Pokemon trying to use rain to shield themselves from fire moves will not be safe from Mega Meganium's Weather Ball, which just completely ignores that. It almost reminds me of how Hydro Steam works, completely ignoring the type reduction that usually exists with Sun and Rain. Now folks, you know me, I've been pretty critical about Pokemon Champions in my previous video about it, but I must be honest and give credit where it's due. This ability for Mega Meganium is an absolute slam dunk. This is perfect. It's a flavorful design that fits with the Pokemon, buffs it significantly, works perfectly with its move pool. But I also don't think it's going to be overpowered or anything in the competitive doubles environment. I mean, these are strong single target moves it has and a great healing move, but it is still slow with only base 80 speed. It's also an awkward speed tier for Trick Room. It's not quite slow enough to outslow things in the Trick Room. So I think those traits will keep Mega Meganium balanced, and also the ×4 poison weakness, of course, making it targetable. And this is a well-deserved buff, and an elegant buff for a Pokemon that I like, that has been neglected for years. They haven't given Meganium anything good for ages, and finally they've given it this new Mega and a great new ability for it, and I would commend them for a job well done on this one. And I have heard reports that the Dinosaur Dominion is absolutely uproarious in celebration at this wonderful news. They are very proud of Meganium. A very joyous time for the Dino Dominion. Now next we have an all-new ability for Mega Feraligatr. How exciting! Mega Feraligatr gains the new ability Dragonite, which operates very similarly to abilities like Pixelate, Aerolate, etc. Dragonite will convert all normal type attacks into Dragon type attacks and grant them a 20% power boost. Mega Feraligatr is of course a Water Dragon type Pokemon, so this is useful. And the most notable move that Mega Feraligatr can convert to a Dragon type attack with this ability is Double Edge, which now becomes a 144 base power Dragon type attack with recoil on it. A better option than Outrage. The recoil is not as bad of a drawback as Outrage, locking you into the move, which is far more punishable. But beyond just this improved Double Edge, Mega Feraligatr doesn't get much else out of this ability. I suppose you could use Body Slam as an alternative, but I'm not so sure that will be used. I think Double Edge will be the more popular option. It's more aggressive, it's more high power. At least they gave it a new ability, and it's one that will be useful for this. But I almost wonder if just keeping Sheer Force would have been better here. Sheer Force is such a great offensive ability that buffs multiple different moves, whereas Dragonite is only giving you one new attacking option effectively here. I'm pondering whether or not I think Mega Feraligatr will be good in this environment. It seems promising. Water Dragon is a great defensive typing with only one weakness to Fairy, so that's good. Its attack is massive with 160, and it's going to hit like an absolute truck with Double Edge. It's nice to have some good natural bulk with defense, and you have ways to raise your speed. Mega Feraligatr can get agility. If it wants to just raise speed by 2, that might be good, and also Dragon Dance, which will probably be the more common option, I would think. It's gonna need that, I believe, because it is quite slow, so it will need some help, and I don't think it's a good speed tier for Trick Room either. But a big problem for Mega Feraligatr is probably going to be the fact that Fairy types will be strong against it. I mean, Fairy types are immune to Dragon, of course, and they might also be able to stomach its other neutral attacks that aren't buffed by an ability. It does hit pretty damn hard with a Liquidation off the back of 160 base attack, of course. But it is weaker on the special side. It's slow. I'm not sure. It has promise. It has potential. But we'll have to see how it plays in practice, I think, before I can evaluate it. I'm much more confident in Mega Meganium, who just seems to have multiple solid things going for it, whereas Mega Feraligatr might face the consequences of being a bit slow and perhaps not having enough to threaten the very common Fairy type. Mega Feraligatr does get Iron Tail as steel coverage to hit Fairies. Not exactly the most reliable move, though, with 75% accuracy. It might end up running it anyway, though. It might be worth it. I'd be curious to see what competitive sets for this Pokemon look like in-game. Earthquake is considerable, but of course in doubles you will hit your ally, so maybe you'd rather go Stomping Tantrum. In that case, I think that this will probably be important coverage, since steel types resist dragon, you need some sort of ground coverage. Many physical attackers need ground coverage. Rock Slide is always nice to have in doubles, as it hits both opponents with a flinch chance. Great move in doubles. I wish you the best, Mega Feraligatr. I hope that you achieve your dreams. And I hope that you do well for yourself. Your attack stat is very high, and that is very promising. Your typing is good, and Dragonize is a solid ability. It certainly could be worse. It certainly could be much worse. Speaking of much worse, we also have confirmation of Mega Emboar's new ability. But it's not a new ability, it's an old ability, actually. Mega Emboar is simply getting the ability Mold Breaker. And this is a fine ability. Mold Breaker will ignore the effects of enemy abilities. That's all well and good, but I don't think that this will be enough to assist Mega Emboar in competitive viability here. I don't think that this is good enough. Mega Emboar's stats for a Mega are a little bit average. Its low speed is not doing it any favors. I just don't see this being a competitively viable Pokemon, and Mold Breaker is just a random, generically okay ability that is not knocking my socks off. I mean, Mega Soul, by comparison, is the perfect possible ability Mega Meganium could have gotten that completely reinvents the Pokemon and buffs it considerably, works perfectly with its move pool. Mold Breaker is not particularly even fitting on Mega Emboar. It's not going to save this Pokemon that was already a little bit disappointing, that needed something more to see viability. And now I'm thinking that maybe Emboar is the new most neglected starter. From the moment of this Pokemon's existence, it was just outclassed by the other two firefighting starters that both exist already and are superior. It was not meaningfully different from them, except maybe being a bit bulkier, which doesn't really work well with the typing. They've given it a new Mega, a chance to breathe new life into it, and it's been given, let's be honest, a pretty disappointing choice for an ability that does not help it very much. I would be very surprised if Mega Emboar was any good in competitive, I'm going to be honest. Perhaps I'll eat my words here, and it turns out Mold Breaker is for some reason very useful in the Champions Doubles metagame. I can't foresee these things, I cannot see the future, but I would probably not put money on that outcome, let me put it that way. I would not bet the house on Mega Emboar being good in Pokemon Champions, based on this information. Up next we have the confirmed ability for Mega Froslass, and this one sounds excellent. Mega Froslass gets Snow Warning, which is an ability that simply sets snow on the field. And this could actually be the strongest snow setter we've ever seen in the series. This is very promising. Mega Froslass is fast, with 120 base speed, it's got a solid special attack stat, solid special defense, and it will receive a defense boost of 1.5x in the snow that it itself creates. Mega Froslass also has access to the excellent Aurora Veil, which is a utility move that only works if snow is active. For 5 turns, damage to all of your allies will be halved. It's like Light Screen and Reflect in one, halving all incoming damage. One of the strongest utility moves in the game that Mega Froslass will be able to take a great advantage of. And Mega Froslass, of course, also gets Blizzard. Blizzard is an amazing move in the snow. The usual drawback of 70% accuracy is completely erased, as in the snow, Blizzard cannot miss, and Blizzard in doubles, with its high 110 power, also hits both opponents. Snow has been strong in doubles before. We've seen a Bomber Snow be used purely to set snow. Decent for its snow-boosted Blizzard and high defense. Surely Mega Froslass will just be far superior to any snow setter we've seen before. Yes, it does take the Mega slot, and that is a sacrifice. You cannot run a different Mega on the team. But I think it'll be well worth it. I have high hopes for this Pokemon. Unfortunately, though, I believe Mega Abomasnow is going to be completely out of a job following the existence of Mega Froslass with Snow Warning. Mega Abomasnow was already one of the worst Megas, but I don't see any reason you'd want to run Mega Abomasnow anymore with this guy now existing and being far superior. Terrible news for Mega Abomasnow. Dreadful. Now, we do have a list of Pokemon that are confirmed to be in the game on Bulbapedia, and nothing really sticks out in terms of snow synergy. The ice types available besides Mega Froslass are actually kind of bad. We've got Vanillux, another alternative snow setter, I suppose, that's not a Mega, could be used, but I don't know if Vanillux has much of a future. Maybe. There's Glalie and Mega Glalie. I don't have high hopes for them, I'm gonna be honest. There's, of course, a Bomber Snow. And there's Mr. Rhyme. Avalugg is in the game, but nothing with Slush Rush, nothing particularly good like Iron Bundle or anything like that we've seen before. Articuno might be good with Snow Cloak and Blizzard and such, alongside Mega Froslass, but as far as we know, Articuno not in Champions on release. With the information we have now, of course, maybe we don't have all the information right now, and Articuno will be available. It's also possible, hopefully, that Satitan will be in the game. Satitan, a pretty cool Mono Ice Slush Rush user. That'll be fun to use alongside Mega Froslass, I think, with double speed in the snow and a high HP stat. Difficult Pokemon to make work in the past, but I think that with an ally as powerful as Mega Froslass, maybe you could actually justify Satitan. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm being stupid, but if ever there was a time, it might be now, with the best snow set we've ever seen coming out. So if you're a fan of the snow archetype, this is great news. But honestly, even if we don't have full-on snow teams in Pokemon Champions, this will still be a good self-sufficient Pokemon anyway. It gives itself Blizzard and Aurora Veil, which is all you need. It itself is a strong special attacker, and having snow can be useful to disable the enemy's weather, just as an anti-weather mechanic, rather than just necessarily being a weather team yourself. So Mega Froslass I think will still have value even then. It has a good move pool with great attacks, utility, etc. I would have high hopes for Mega Froslass in Pokemon Champions. Plus, can we say that it's also immune to Fake Out, so it's difficult to disrupt it from setting Aurora Veil. I think that's also a noteworthy thing. That's pretty cool. Up next we have another confirmed ability on a new Mega Pokemon. Mega Delphox is confirmed to have the ability Levitate. This was actually confirmed a while ago from a Japanese gameplay screenshot. We knew about this one a bit earlier than the other ones mentioned, but I believe it's still worth talking about. Mega Delphox seems promising in general, with its great speed and great special attack. In particular, the massive base 134 speed is very promising in my opinion. But Levitate is interesting. Overall, I think this will be a great ability. Levitate grants ground immunity, which is obviously fantastic on a Pokemon otherwise weak to ground because of fire typing. So you erase one of your weaknesses. There is a bit of a drawback to levitation though, regrettably. In doubles, Psychic Terrain is very common. Psychic Terrain is a field condition that boosts the power of psychic moves and also causes all grounded Pokemon to be immune to priority. And this is commonly used in conjunction with the move Expanding Force, which is a Psychic-type special attack that gets a power boost within Psychic Terrain, becoming one of the strongest nukes in the whole game. But unfortunately, because Mega Delphox is levitating, it is not going to benefit from Psychic Terrain. It's floating above the Psychic Terrain, not receiving the power boost in general, and also not receiving the buff to Expanding Force that it would if it was on the ground. Plus, it also won't receive the priority immunity, leaving it wide open to moves like Sucker Punch and Shadow Sneak, which other psychic types would not be worried about. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You do get that excellent ground immunity, but you do not get to benefit from Psychic Terrain. Mega Delphox will be competing with another Psychic-type Mega Alakazam, who is faster, has higher special attack, and also does benefit from Psychic Terrain since it is not levitating. It has the ability Trace, which has its own merit as well. That's actually going to be a significant point of contention, the fact that you could just use Mega Alakazam, who is similar, but faster, more offensively powerful, and also can be used on the popular Psychic Terrain archetype. But Mega Delphox does set itself apart. The fire typing is noteworthy, as Stab Heatwave is a pretty significant option. A spread move that hits both opponents. And on a Sun team, this could be pretty incredible. Mega Delphox gets Will-O-Wisp, which is good utility, and I think it's a bit bulkier than Mega Alakazam. Levitate will be useful, because you can have an ally that uses Earthquake. General ground immunity is going to be good. I mean, Alakazam Mega probably drops to any stab ground type attack. Mega Delphox not worried about that. I think that these traits probably would make Mega Delphox a bit better suited to running a Calm Mind set, since it's actually got a really good special defense stat, and its defensive merit is superior to Mega Alakazam's, with Levitate and Fire typing offering nice resistances that Mega Alakazam does not have. I can't imagine Mega Alakazam running a Calm Mind set. It's too frail, and under fire from too much. It's a bit more all in on just smacking things, whereas Mega Delphox might be a bit sturdier. We will have to see how good Mega Delphox feels in practice. I think in particular the Heat Wave option will be what sets this Pokemon apart from other special attacking Megas. This is a pretty damn nice spread option, always valuable in doubles environments. And various Megas are also confirmed to just have an ability that their base form has. One of these, Mega Chesnaught, which is confirmed to have the ability Bulletproof. I think that this is a fine choice. Bulletproof is a good ability, granting a complete immunity to bullet and other spherical-based moves. And Mega Chesnaught is quite an interesting one. Mega Chesnaught is incredible defensively. It has one of the highest defense stats I've ever seen in general. 172 base defense. And a pretty respectable 115 special defense as well. Plus it hits pretty hard with a 137 base attack. These stats are very good, and with 44 speed, that's low enough to be a contender for a Trick Room threat as well. And Bulletproof will be a help. I mean, remember that Mega Meganium is now using Weather Ball for fire coverage. Well, Weather Ball is a spherical move, and Bulletproof grants an immunity to spherical moves. Spheres cannot affect Mega Chesnaught. You would be stupid to think so. So you'll be completely immune to a very common, perhaps, fire-type coverage option from a rival Mega Evolution. That'll be huge. You actually kind of go crazy against Mega Meganium in particular, thanks to grass resistance and immunity to Weather Ball. Bulletproof also offers immunity to Sludge Bomb, which is the poison coverage of choice on many Pokemon, including Mega Gengar, Mega Gengar, who is also in Pokemon Champions and will probably be quite a threat. So that's huge. You're also immune to Shadow Ball, which is the most common ghost-type attack in the game. So these immunities will be significant and will be relevant. The fact that Mega Chesnaught gets a body press off the back of an astronomically high defense stat is also promising. This will hit incredibly hard, and it also doubles up as defense and offense in one. Body press tends to be pretty good in VGC for that reason. Offense and defense combined fits well with the fast pace of these doubles formats. Mega Chesnaught has the doubles utility of Wide Guard as well, to protect allies from spread moves. You could use this against a Heat Wave or whatever else, a Blizzard. Any spread move will be completely blocked and your ally will be saved from it. Very useful utility, especially because many spread moves happen to be super effective against Chesnaught. How useful. Synthesis is your only healing move, which might be a problem because you can't always guarantee that you'll have the appropriate weather active. So maybe you don't even bother with Synthesis, and that's too slow, and you just run other utility or attacks, perhaps Wood Hammer, which just hits really hard with Grass Stab. You do have a good attack stat. Another option is Knock Off to hit the ghosts that are immune to Body Press. That's going to be useful. Knock Off. Stomping Tantrum can also hit in particular Mega Gengar, which might be an adversary for you. I don't know. Generally good coverage to have. Ground coverage. And Mega Chesnaught also gets the move Coaching, which could be interesting. Raising an ally's attack and defense by 1. You're bulky enough to maybe just sit there giving boosts to an ally as a win condition, possibly. Mega Chesnaught seems interesting. I think it actually sounds pretty good. It might be slow and might have a weird identity, but it's got some pretty good stuff in my opinion. A hard-hitting body press will certainly carry this Pokemon's identity. That's the big one. I mean, the defense is truly elite. And just the significant bulk of this guy sitting there with good utility, good attacks, possible Trick Room abuse as well, I think will bode positively for Mega Chesnaught, which is one of my favorite new Megas design-wise. Love the big cape it has. It looks very regal. Looks very beautiful. It'll be cool to see this in competitive. And Mega Greninja maintains its ability Protean in its new Mega form, which is interesting, because as you may know, Protean was nerfed in Gen 9. The ability Protean used to just allow Greninja to change its type every single time it uses a move. It would change type to the type of the move itself. Use Ice Beam, you become Ice type. Use Spikes, you become Ground type, etc. But ever since Gen 9, Protean now only changes your type once per switch in. The first time you use a move, you will change to the type of the move, but then never again. You just stay as that type until you switch out and back in, which was a significant nerf. And I'm not so sure how good Mega Greninja will be in this nerfed state. Greninja has historically been quite good, and there's much to appreciate about it here. It has decent mixed attacking stats. 125 in attack, 133 in special attack. It's fast with 142 speed. That's quite fast, in fact, for a Mega. And its coverage is also excellent. It has a fantastic selection of both physical and special attacks. It can pivot with flip turn or U-turn. So the best things that Mega Greninja have going for it are the high speed and the move pool. But other than that, it's actually a little bit weak for a Mega, I think, in terms of the offensive stats. There are Megas that are out-damaging it, and Protein is not what it once was. Still decent, but not what it once was. My personal hunch is that Mega Greninja doesn't seem like it will be that good in a competitive doubles format. It doesn't have much in the way of good doubles moves, spread moves and the like, and it does seem like there are just better Mega options in the game. But I could be proven wrong. The high speed and the good coverage might save this Pokemon. And we also now know that Mega Dragonite will simply keep multi-scale as its Mega ability. Which I think is a bit disappointing. I was hoping for a cool new ability for Mega Dragonite, but it just keeps multi-scale. It's alright though, I mean multi-scale is a good ability. While at full HP, all incoming damage is halved from attacks. Very nice, gives you a complete safety net against just about everything. And there is also an interesting interaction where Dragonite in its base form could have inner focus, so it can't be intimidated turn 1. Then you could Mega Evolve to get multi-scale in the second turn. Kind of cool. But I don't know how good Mega Dragonite is gonna be. Which is unfortunate. I was hoping this would be a good Mega, because this is the one they give you for free. And I'm planning to play the game completely for free without any Pokemon Home or paid content whatsoever. So I was hoping Mega Dragonite would be good enough to get me started, but now I'm not so sure. I mean, the guy has pretty well-rounded stats, good defenses, high special attack, good mixed attacking stats with good attack still. But I'm not so sure what it does. I'm thinking maybe you just go like agility, and possibly you could run it on a rain team with like hurricane and thunder, because it is a good special attacker. It has extreme speed. Maybe you just run it as a general mixed attacker. I'm not so sure it has very good spread moves. It has blizzard, but you can't run it with Mega Froslass because they're both Megas, for goodness sake. There's Draco Meteor, that's always nice. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with Mega Dragonite and what it will do. The extra special attack on this guy, I don't know how useful it will be. It does have a decent special attacking move pool, but I think its best special attack is Hurricane, which sort of mandates rain. It does get Draco Meteor, but I'm thinking that I'm just coping here and that Mega Dragonite is not going to be any good. It doesn't seem that amazing. It really doesn't, which is a huge shame. It's a huge shame. Did they give it Nasty Plot? I don't think they did. They didn't seem to give it Nasty Plot. Well, let's just hope that I'm wrong and Mega Dragonite's amazing and I get a free Mega Dragonite and I defeat everybody. Let's hope that that's the case. Everybody hope and pray with me in the comments, please. For Mega Dragonite's career future. This is very important. And now we must discuss mechanical changes that are happening. There was a minor mechanical change where the moves Shadow Claw and Dragon Claw were modified slightly. Shadow Claw and Dragon Claw are now considered slicing moves, which is relevant for the ability Sharpness. Sharpness is an ability that grants a 1.5x damage boost to slicing moves. An interesting change, because the most famous Sharpness Pokemon is Hisuian Samurott, who's excellent in competitive singles. I don't think this Pokemon is that great in doubles though, and also it doesn't get either Shadow Claw or Dragon Claw, so not really relevant there. Gallade has Sharpness, and Gallade has Shadow Claw, so that could be new coverage for it. Interesting. But what a lot of people are speculating, which would make a lot of sense, is that perhaps Mega Absol Z is going to get the ability Sharpness. I mean, look at it. It has a claw as its visual identity. It's got a claw coming out of it. It would seem to scratch you with Sharpness. It would make thematic sense for this to have Sharpness. Mega Absol Z, also a fast physical attacker with access to Shadow Claw. So it's possible they made this change because they know Mega Absol Z is getting Sharpness. We don't know that yet, but if so, that would be a pretty significant buff to Mega Absol Z, giving it an actual good, relatively high-powered Ghost-type physical attack, which would help significantly. A Mega Absol would suffer from its frailty and largely relying on single target moves in a doubles environment, but it's immune to Fake Out. Ghost is a good attacking type, and with sharpness, maybe this could bring Mega Absol to some semblance of viability. But that's just speculation, I don't know. All we know is that they changed Shadow Claw and Dragon Claw to be slicing now. We don't know how relevant that will actually be in the game, but I believe Mega Absol looks like somebody who could slice you up. He could teleport behind you and slice you. So, that's just my personal prediction. Let's see if that actually happens. We'll see, folks. Another change that is now confirmed is that IVs do not exist in Pokemon Champions. IVs are a mechanic from the mainline games that determine a Pokemon's base stats. The IV value for each stat can be 0 to 31, and if the IV is 31, they will have the maximum possible amount of base stat. So it's pretty much always better to just have 31 IVs. And in the mainline games, these values are random. When you catch your Pokemon, you can breed to pass down the IVs of a Pokemon to its child and such. There are items that enhance the Pokemon's IVs. And I believe the original intent of this mechanic was to make every Pokemon feel a bit different, so that when you catch a Pokemon, its base stats could be different to your friend who caught the same Pokemon. But of course, in a competitive context, this didn't matter, and all that mattered was optimizing the Pokemon stats. So it was a little bit of a barrier to entry to understand what IVs even are, because for a long time they were a hidden mechanic that weren't shown in the UI anywhere. And not only that, you had to go through the process of getting perfect IVs for your Pokemon. There was also hidden power, and that was a whole thing. So I think it makes sense to not have IVs. They were always kind of an obtuse mechanic that didn't really make sense. It is more intuitive for the Pokemon's base stats to just be their base stats, and this variance of what their base stats can be, I don't think really adds much. But some people are upset about this because it removes a little bit of nuance from the game, because it can be an advantage sometimes to have lower IVs on your Pokemon, to give them a lower stat on purpose, in particular with Trick Room strategies, because, of course, Trick Room is a field condition where the slower Pokemon moves first. So it is advantageous for a Pokemon aiming to be used in Trick Room to actually have as low an amount of speed as possible, and therefore actually have the lowest amount of speed IVs to reduce their speed stat on purpose. And sometimes the speed IVs get particular, because you want to outrun something outside of Trick Room but be slower than something in Trick Room, and that's a particular value that might be like a middling amount of speed IVs to achieve exactly that. So people are a bit annoyed that this level of nuance has been removed. I don't know though, man. I think overall making the game more intuitive for new players is a worthy trade-off for losing this incredibly specific team building depth. There'll be plenty of team building depth elsewhere, folks. You still have effectively the same thing as EVs. That's fine. Perhaps a controversial take from Jim, but I enjoy design elegance. I enjoy elegance. IVs were always an inelegant mechanic from the beginning. And it's a huge barrier with explaining what the hell an IV is to a new player. A lot of us are in the weeds of Pokemon, and we know what IVs are, and they're completely normal to us, but to a new player, IVs are incomprehensible. It's a big hurdle to even understand what the hell they are. And really what they are, most of the time, is just like the base stat of the Pokemon, but there's a hidden value that determines what that stat is, and 99.9% of the time you want it to be 31, but then, for goodness sake, in the Trick Room meta, it's better to be slower. And guess what? A new player is already fallen asleep, and they're going to play a different game like a Valorant or something else, because this is just a little bit too much complexity. And not a good kind of complexity, I think. Not a good kind that adds anything. And you all know that I don't blindly defend every choice that a Game Freak or the Pokemon Company makes. I'm very critical of the games, in fact, much of the time. But I think this is a fine change. It's in fact something I've advocated for, and that I hoped they would do in Pokemon Champions. I'm glad they've done it. Generally, I don't think that games should be dumbed down for mass appeal in much of the time, but I also think that information should be clear to the player. When things are obtuse and you have to look up a wiki to figure out how to even interface with the basic mechanics of the game, then there's friction, and that's a problem. Friction is not necessarily good nuance, it's actually bad nuance that turns people away. I think that there can be depth to the game without needing to have obtuse hidden mechanics that 99% of the time don't even make much of a difference and have very fringe use cases. I don't think IVs are worth preserving. That's my opinion. And folks, we also have a bit more information about the Pokemon purchasing process. I spoke in my prior video about how there's a daily pool of Pokemon that you can select from, which is kind of insane. I thought you could just directly buy Pokemon at first, but no, it's kind of random what Pokemon you can even buy. Here's this screenshot from the Bulba Garden website, and I gotta say that this selection that this particular person has access to seems atrocious. They've got such heavy hitters as Clawitzer and Houndoom. Terrible roll today for this fella, but we now know a new piece of information, and that is that when you select a Pokemon, they will have 2 stats randomly maxed out in the equivalent of EVs, which are just called stat points in Pokemon Champions. As you can see, this Toxapex has max special attack and max special defense. They're calling it the worst Toxapex of all time. So these will just be random. It'll have random maxed out EVs basically on 2 stats, and you gotta just hope that they're good, I guess. You can of course change them later, but this is interesting. Maybe you luck out and you get the Amoonguss with max HP, max defense, rage powder, and everything that you've ever wanted in your wildest dreams. But maybe you get the Toxapex with max special attack and no special attacks on its moveset, and you're very upset about that. Now, me personally, in this lineup, I would be taking probably the Furfrou, because it has a special costume. And it has Fur Coat, of course, which grants double defense. It's very useful. But that's just me personally in this lineup. I honestly think, folks, that playing this game completely free to play will be kind of fun, because I will just have to work with whatever the crap they give me in the random lineup, and if they give me Muck and Furret, I will have no choice but to use Muck and Furret on my team, and make the best team I can with the Garbanzo Pokemon they give me. So I honestly think that'll be a fun challenge. And folks, another mechanical change that's being put in place in Pokemon Champions is that Mega Evolution and Switching now happen at the same time in the turn order. And that's a bigger deal than it sounds. In the past, switching was always the first thing that happened in a turn. A Pokemon switch superseded everything else, and nothing happened at the same time except another switch. If 2 Pokemon switch at the same time, the faster Pokemon will switch out first, and then the slower Pokemon then switches. But now Mega Evolution is in that same turn order tier, priority tier, as switching. So you can actually have a situation where a Pokemon Mega Evolves before a switch. This is actually a pretty big nerf to Mega Manectric, which is dreadful news. I mean, what did Mega Manectric ever do to anybody? Why you gotta nerf Mega Manectric for? But this is the case. Mega Manectric Mega Evolves and gains the ability Intimidate. So there could be a situation where you Mega Evolve your Manectric, intimidate the enemy, and then they switch out afterwards. So they erase the attack debuff and are completely safe. Whereas in the past, the switch would happen first, then Mega Manectric would Mega Evolve and lower the enemy's attack. Always covering a switch, but now not so much. This is also relevant for weather setting effects, like the previously mentioned Mega Froslass, who set snow. It could be that Mega Froslass would Mega Evolve, set snow on the field, and then the enemy could switch to another weather setter like Pelipper or Torkoal and overwrite the snow. So these Pokemon wish that this mechanic was not in place. They wish that switching still happened first, because then there would never be a scenario where your Mega Evolution ability could get superseded by a switch. But now, players are going to have to be more aware of speed tiers and make sure that the order of operations for something like a weather setting ability on Mega Charizard Y or Mega Froslass, or perhaps Intimidate on Mega Manectric, happens at the correct time, because otherwise they could get screwed. I'm not sure why they did this. I mean, switching has always been the first thing that happens in turn order for many years. This has just been a truth of life. I don't know if it's like better or worse necessarily. It's just not a big deal, I guess, and people will adapt to it. It's not a huge deal. The game will usually operate mostly the same, but it's just a little bit of a weird one. I don't really get what the benefit of this is, if there's a good balance benefit to this. I don't know, maybe they'll retract the change in the official release. This is just from demos that people tried, that this was the case. We'll see, folks. We'll see how that actually ends up playing out and how big of a deal this will be. Maybe you could argue it adds more competitive nuance because of the fact that you need more game knowledge of speed tiers and have to be more wary of what happens in which order, switching or Mega Evolving. So perhaps this will create more skill in the game. And yeah, folks, that is about it for new information in Pokemon Champions, new abilities and mechanics that we know of. The game is coming out very soon, April 8th. And I will be there and I will be playing Pokemon Homeless. I will be Pokemon Homeless. No Pokemon Home, no money. Completely free to play gaming. How far can I go without spending a single dollar on Pokemon Champions? How pay to win is the game really going to be? I guess we'll find out. I was critical of the paid subscription system and the requirement of Pokemon Home and such. In particular, I was very disappointed to learn that you can only get 30 free box spaces. I mean, even if you grind a bunch on free-to-play, there's a limit to how many Pokemon you can have in your possession. You're gonna, like, release them, I guess, to make room if you want to make new teams. That's kind of crazy. I just assumed you'd have, like, infinite box space, so screw me for thinking so, I suppose. That's my mistake. How could I be so foolish? Regardless, I'm going to be playing Pokemon Homeless, and that's how I'm going to be doing it. What are you looking forward to using in Pokemon Champions? I hope I can get my hands on a Mega Froslass, because I think that sounds really good. What about you, though? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.